Hi all, good morning, good evening. So in today's session, I'm going to explain about the SQL transformation and a source qualifier and XML and eliminating error. So in this session, I will explain about all four transformation, how to optimize each transformation inside our Informatica. So okay, so yeah, come with me. I will explain in detail what is the this topic I will be covers. Okay, in upcoming session. Okay, so what is the first topic is source qualifier, right? You already understand what is the source qualifier. Source qualifier is just simple things, right? We are initially when you start any mapping, right? Suppose if you are start any mapping, so we write the query. We are writing. We will write. We will write the query inside inside the inside the SQL qualifier. Okay, SQL qualifier. Okay, so okay, so in this case, suppose if you write any query and suppose there is a employee table, right? A employee table having huge record, right? Like thousands record. Suppose some record like 300 record, 300 record is duplicate. Okay, duplicate. In this case, what will happen? In this case, suppose you will not write the query. Suppose what will be the query? Query will select star from EMP, right? Where one equal to one. Okay, so kind of this if you written query inside your SQL qualifier, then all record including duplicate record will be processed. But here what we are suggesting either you can write here as a distinct option, or we can go here, suppose if you go here SQL uh, optimization, right? Here is so what he is suggesting to us, go in the select distinct option for the SQL qualifier transformation. If you want the integration service to select a unique value from a source, use the select distinct option to filter unnecessary data earlier in the data flow. This can improve performance. Let me show you this value uh, where it was process. Yeah, suppose here is the same one mapping. There is one mapping. Okay, so that mapping is actually uh, disconnecting. Yeah, I'm opening one mapping. There is one joiner transformations mapping I written. Okay, here is one SQL qualifier. This is the SQL qualifier. Okay. So here already source definition. Here is taken SQL qualifier transformations, right? Already things were a transformation. What is the transformation type? Already mentioned, right? Then you can think, right? Here is the type of the transformation and everywhere. Just you notice, right? With the, so here is sort of transformation type of transformation, right? Here is make a, if you want to make a reusable, you can mark as reusable also, right? So this is the option. Yes, the who is the fresher? Just understand, right? Very carefully. So here, what the option in performance tuning term? So the example I will explain. Like suppose your 300 record is a duplicate and 700 only a unique, right? In this case, there is the option in Informatica provided set. There is the option like select distinct option. If you apply distinct, it will be remove the 300 record from this table. Okay, it will not process before your other transformation, so that avoid unnecessary data to process inside our Informatica. Okay, so there is option. That's what we are suggesting. Can you either you can write your better way the query, it will be remove unnecessary duplicate. Either Informatica provided. Suppose you are not writing any SQL qualifier, a SQL override query, then in that case, suppose if you're not writing like this, here is the SQL override query, right? Suppose you're not writing this kind of query and you have written like default query, right? What Informatica was generating. So in this case, you can select the distinct option. It will be when it will process, it will be automatically you included filter out the duplicate record. Okay, I hope you got my point. Okay, so yeah, so this is the your SQL qualifier. Okay, so next thing here, how to optimizing the SQL transformation. Yeah, just me and proper understand, right? SQL transformation and the SQL qualifier both are different. Okay, so you just try to understand, right, what is the differences in both. So in SQL transformation, when you create a SQL transformation, you configure the transformation to use external SQL queries, right? Or queries or that you define in the transformation. Okay, when you configure an SQL and transformation to run in script mode, the integration service process and external SQL script for each input row. Okay, the when the transformation run in SQL mode, the integration service process in SQL query that you define in the transformation. Okay. So each time the integration ISR process a new query in the session, it calls a function called SQL prepare to create a SQL procedure and pass it to the database. When the SQL query change the each input row, it has a performance impact. Okay. There is a other option when the transformation run in query mode, construct a static query in the transformation to improve performance. A static query statement doesn't change, although the data in the query clause changes to create a static query. Use parameter binding. There is parameter binding. How to use the parameter binding? There is some colon options. Okay, instead of string substitution, the SQL editor, when you use parameter binding, use the set parameter in the query class to follow in the transformation input port. So SQL transformation is different, where is the all will run inside the query side. Okay, so I will explain some practical also for this transformation so that you can understand. I'll just be with me. I will explain this point. So this next point is when you SQL query content commit a rollback kind of right query statement. The IS service must recreate the SQL procedure after each commit, okay, or rollback. To optimize performance, don't use transaction statement in an SQL transformation, right? Here it just mentioned don't use transaction statement inside our transformation query. Next point is when we create the SQL transformation, you configure how the transformation connect to the database. We can choose static connection or you can pass connection information to the transformation at runtime. Okay, when you configure the transformation to use a static connection, you choose a connection from the workflow manager connection. The SQL transformation connect to the database once during the session. When you pass dynamic connection in transformation, the SQL connection connect to the database each time the transformation process and input route. Okay, yeah, let me show you the SQL transformation. Okay, so I think there is no any available. Yeah, let me create one mapping quickly. There is a SQL transformation test. Okay, so mapping I created, I took the one source like emp table. Okay, simply under department I will take the some expression also expression so that we can generate like yeah, here I just select all, I selected all columns. Okay, after that I'm just transferring the department number to department name, that's all. Okay, so I will took the target as well, any emp load data I can take because the all column will be there. Okay, version is also, but I will consider only this. Okay, so I'm not going to use here is transformation, right? So yeah, yeah, here is transformation. If you notice I'm going to stored procedures. SQL transformation. Okay, here is SQL transformation. Let me, all transformation is available. So you can choose your SQL transformation. Where is SQL? You can cross check, right? That the SQL option will be there. Where is uh, 1 second. Yeah, if you don't find, you can write it. Here is a SQL. Already you can SQL qualifier and SQL both are different. Okay, so I will write some name. You can write your name. Here is given what I was explaining, script mode or query mode. There is two mode option. What is the database? If you want to connection is static or dynamic, the connection object like this. So these are the option, right? It will be available. If you go back in your slides, that slide is show you of what things, right? Here I was mentioned, right? Query mode, SQL create procedure, it part database when you create changes, right? Query mode and a static query statement doesn't change, although the data query clause change, right? SQL editor. So these are the option available for the your SQL transformation, right? Suppose I selected the query mode, right? And the database connection is Oracle. There is multiple database. There is a selection option. You can choose any database, but it should be relational because we are selecting the SQL transformation, right? Doesn't work for your flat file. Okay, I hope you understand, right? So here is I am selecting the static connection. Suppose static connection we select, and there is the query mode. The query mode, if you have to specify the mode query system, the mode cannot be changed later. Whatever you selected here, it cannot be changed later. Okay, when I selected, here is done. Okay, so if you select here where you can write the query, all of the properties option, SQL modular, right? Here is the class name, runtime, okay, tracing label, right? All row is active, input, okay. These are the property update, strategy transformation, like transformation scope, transaction, all input, generate transaction, okay. So require single thread partition or whatever, right? So these all options available here. You can write the query if you want. Here you can write the select query. Suppose you have already written, so you can retain, or you can write here some query, right? Select suppose if you want write, or already if you have query, you can write. Let me select start from dpt dpt. Let me just write high level. Okay, dpt. Okay, so this way you can write and start processing. Here I'm going to use here again. So let me select here. I use the, here you can select the input also. 1 second. Let me department, select start from dpt. Okay, slow database. Okay, so I write the dp dname. Okay, dname where, from department, where dptno equal to some variable. What will be number, right? Support 10 or something. The same query if you write here inside your Informatica, right? And if you create the port, here is editor. Okay, query. I can, yeah, here you can write. Here, you can, here is port also. Can select a parameter variable binding, right? So you can substitute string or so. But I here I hard coded something. So we can select the Chrome. Okay. So here is SQL editor. Okay, let me. So, so this way you can generate, right? So what is the purpose of my explain here? So I need to explain what is the SQL transformation, how to configure means what things you can configure, right? Uh, what is the setting you can change? There is query mode or something, right? What is the static mode? These kind of information you can like configure and process when you are going to optimize your query, right? So in the optimization case there is some case, right? Use in case like when you create SQL transform, you configure the transformation to use external query. What is a external query or query that you define in the transformation? You when you configure an SQL transformation to run script mode, when like this, what I explained, right? The integration service process an external query stream for each input row. When you transformation run in query mode, the integration service process the query that you define in the transformation. Okay. So what we write the inside the query, it will be need to configure the query mode. Okay. Each time IS process a new query in the session, it calls a function called SQL prepare. Okay, always it calls the new query. So that is the, yeah, when you transform run in query mode, construct like a static query, right? And the transformation improve performance. What here is the case, suppose if you write the written taken the query mode, in that case you try to use the static query, right? Don't write, suppose in my case what I was use the, let me remove and use different transformation. Okay, means again, suppose I again you going to, one second here, SQL. Okay, query mode. Okay, when I again use the query mode and I use the static, right? So static always he told like static always run the always with the change, right? Means execute the in create mode always. And suppose if you're going to use the script mode, query mode, here is static query. Statement doesn't change always. Although the data in query class change, create the static query. Use parameter binding. Parameter binding I need to use instead of string substitution. Suppose you don't put in double quotes, right? So that way it will be improve your performance when you are going to use the SQL transformation. Okay. So yeah, going to explain about the XML as well. XML is actually optimizing XML transformation. When you remove the unprojected group, right, in XML parser. So XML transformation from an XML source definition, you don't need to allocate memory for these unprojected group, but you need to maintain primary, right, primary key, foreign key constraint. So XML transformation like similar way like how we are using XML target, right? We are maintain some hierarchy tags, right? So the same some part like suppose you are going to use some XML transformation. So how to optimize, right, this code? That's what here is tell like you can improve unprojected group. Suppose there is different group, right? And XML parser and transformation, and in from an XML source definition, you don't need to allocate memory. So there is no need to allocate additional memory for each unprojected group. But you need to maintain primary key, foreign key, so that you can your data can't be removed, right? That's what here mean in this time we need to check for XML. So there is last topic like eliminating transformations error. So transformations error like in large number of right transformation error slow performance, right? If the IS service with each transformation error, the integration service purge the determine the cause of the error and to remove the row causing the error from the data flow. The next IS service typically write the row into the session log file. Transformation error occurs when the IS service encounter conversion error, conflicting mapping logic, and any condition setup as an error. Okay, such as null input. Check the session log to where the transformation error occurred. If the error center around particular transformation, evaluate those transformation constraints. If you don't set the error threshold, okay, the IS service continue to process error row, thereby increasing the session runtime to optimize performance. Set the error threshold to stop the session after a set number of rows error. Okay. If you need a to run session that generate large number of transformation error, it possible to improve performance by setting a lower tracing level. Okay, and however, this is not a recommended to long-term solution to in transformation as well. But yeah, in sometimes whenever you face like this kind of issue, you can configure according to your requirement. Okay, so this is all about your eliminating transformations error. So in today's session, I was explain about the XML SQL qualifier and the SQL transformation. Okay, and the XML transformation, right? So and the last one is error. So this one is for the optimization perspective. So how we are working like for all transformation, you can work as usual. But yeah, just keep in mind, suppose you learn this part also, right? So you can write the query so that in future don't you face like the performance issue. Suppose you write initially, but yeah, sometimes you or no one understand like it will be observed like it can issue will come. But yeah, whenever it come like you observe like your mapping is getting slow, so then you can follow these steps and watch my other video and just try to build your mapping and so that you can get the performance well. Yeah, thanks for watching my channel. Just try to subscribe my channel so that I can bring more new topics and new things so that everyone can learn right and improve his skills so that enjoy in work culture, right? Thanks for watching. Thank you, friend.